I got a text today, actually last night, from a friend who was telling me, I'm so sad you can't make it out to my event next week. It's kind of my magnum opus. And I can't tell you how important it is for me in these last few weeks and moving towards Q4 to be incredibly intentional about my time. So that's what I want to tell you about today. Hey everyone, welcome back to Empire Secrets. If I'm speaking a little lower, it's because my son is sleeping a few doors down. So it's early in the morning. I'm recording this episode. The entire house is quiet, but I wanted to share what's been on my mind, which is can be summarized in a post, a comment that I made on a post in Amy Porterfield's membership that I'm a part of. And every week on Wednesday, they have the Wednesday wins. And, and the way that it was phrased this week, it was a little bit different. It was, what are you doing right now that you 10 years ago, or maybe not 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I can't remember exactly, but you, like former you, old you, would hear what you're doing right now and be like, oh my gosh, that's me. And, I could think of a bunch of things, but the most important thing that came to mind was the fact that if I have done nothing else this year, I have really grown in one major aspect of my life, and that is being incredibly intentional about my time. Let me explain what I mean because that sounds super duper vague. What I mean is this: I have had years, probably like my entire life, where I have had very loose goals, and I will go into a work day with like a to-do list and a vague idea of what I need to get done. On some days, I crush that list. On some days, I get everything done and it's fantastic. I feel so good. I treat myself to something. I feel great. I go to sleep really happy. Done. On other days, I do a lot of pitter pattering. If I'm not focused, if I'm a little tired, if there's a gorgeous sun outside and I really want to get to the beach, assuming it's that time of year where I can go, or really just life gets in the way, right? It's my kid, my life, my husband, some event, something that needs to get done around the house. And I feel like I get pulled in different directions. I allow myself to get pulled in different directions. Now, obviously, there are some things that you can't really control that will really pull you in a different direction. But what happens is that instead of feeling productive at the end of the day, I might have done 1,000 different things, but they don't feel like they add up to much, right? And it really has been a long time coming that I have paid a lot of attention to what's even on my list. Like, what am I working on and why? And what I mean by that is, if you've been following this podcast for a very long time, I think it was maybe my first or second episode of this podcast, I talk about my favorite business book of all time, which is 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy. And the reason I love this book is that the entire premise of 10X is Easier Than 2X is that you focus on fewer things. I would say it's twofold. One is you focus on fewer things. And by focusing on fewer things that will really move the needle 10X instead of 2X, you're doing less. You're doing fewer things. So that's why it's easier. The second premise of the book is that in order to find the things that move the needle 10X, you kind of have to think about, all right, what is the impossible, right? What is the thing that's like quite near impossible for me to do and that I should aim for, and that will require things that are maybe outside the box. So what that means is I'm not doing the regular things for the sake of doing them, because the regular things will get me maybe 2X results. I have to really play full out. And that means doing fewer things that will actually move the needle. So to me, that's how I would summarize the book. Those are the two principles that really have guided me, or have that I've tried to be guided by since I read that book 2 years ago. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay. So maybe a year and a half ago. And so that has been really manifested right now in this moment. So we are at the precipice of Q4. which, if you know another thing about me, is that 10x is easier than 2x is my favorite book. My second favorite book is The 12-Week Year. And what that means is I don't look at the year in quarters, really. I look at the year as a 12-week sprint, a 12-week period of time. And I have set goals for the 12 weeks. And there have been 12-week years that I've done better than others, but I have to say, I feel like I've shifted into a different mode, a CEO mode. And it's intoxicating. It is freaking empowering. And what I mean by that is I have really taken charge of not only doing fewer things that will move the needle a whole lot more, than just throwing a ton of spaghetti at the wall or being involved in a million different projects or, pushing on a million different fronts. I'm really focusing on very, very few things. In fact, another, way that this kind of came about or that was made very clear was that I was on the phone with the organizer of the event that I spoke on stage in Cancun. And, you're kind of chit chatting in the beginning of the call. And he's like, yeah, what are you up to? And I was like, very few things. I'm just working on this and this. That's it. And he was just like blown away. He was like, oh man, that sounds amazing. Like, I'm working on so many different things. I am inundated with ideas, and people say I have a lot of ideas, but that's only 10% of the ideas I have. And he's like a total, visionary for his business, which I get. And I'm a visionary too. But I can't tell you how wonderful it is to not have a million ideas. I don't have a million ideas. I have really, and the ideas that I do have, I'll write them down, I'll record them somewhere. But I have been so freaking disciplined. I've really grown, like, in my entrepreneurship. I would say this is the biggest thing I've accomplished, is that I've gotten so disciplined at only focusing on a few things, which means I can have a million ideas, but I don't really spend a lot of energy having ideas, if that makes sense, unless they are ideas tied to the thing that I'm working on, right? And even then, like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't need more ideas. I just need to implement. And so right now, what that looks like, to bring this all home, what that looks like is that I have a solid 12-week year plan, which means that every week has been mapped out from now until the end of the year, every single week. If you are interested, I had my designer create these sheets, which are based off of the 12-week year book. In fact, somehow I got these sheets and I can't remember. So the design is not even mine. I just had her like, hey, can you replicate this so that I can print them off every time I want to start my 12-week year? And so I have these as PDFs, which I'm happy to send to you if you're interested. Just reach out to me and ask, and I'll have my assistant send it over. But each week is basically written out where I have my key actions and tactics. And it's just part of the sheet. We have the who and the day. And to be honest, I don't use the who and the day so much, in part because I'm a very small operation in terms of like people. So I have like key people, and that's it. I don't have like a big team. I have contractors. So if I needed my designer, I just reach out to her. If I need, I've got my podcast producer, I've got my editors, and I've got my assistant. And that's all I need in my operation. And so, which means a lot of the stuff that's on this actually requires me. And I'm glad that it does, because that's a point that I'll get to in a second. But anyway, so I have all of my key actions and tactics mapped out for every single week until the end of the year. And I love this. The only two things that I'm working on right now, and I can tell them to you because they're super easy to share, is I am building the new evergreen / hybrid funnel for the brand video system. And I have a program I'm following that is fantastic. It has the exact action items. It has all the support I could need for every action item. In addition to following this program where I know exactly what I need to do, I'm actually kind of almost done preparing it. In fact, my goal is to launch this soft launch at the end of next week on Friday. So hold me accountable to that. But in addition to following this program, I also created a pod. So I went into the different groups I'm in and have gathered folks who are in the evergreen world, who are, evergreen heavy. And we're in a WhatsApp group now. We are sharing ideas. I don't want to say keep each other accountable. Like, I don't need anybody to hold me accountable to anything, but it's just to like share progress, share ideas, share strategies, right? I really don't think 7-figure business owners need accountability. I think they just want support. They want ideas. They want to bounce things off of each other and make progress together. So I have that support. I have my guides. I have my list, right? And so that is the big picture that's built out for the next 12 weeks. So not only launching this funnel, optimizing this funnel, running ads to this funnel, but then starting October, I go full on into Black Friday prep mode. So I'm prepping a big 5 days of deals for Black Friday. And I am really committing to doing all did I say November? I meant October. So starting October, I'm doing that. And I am committed to finishing by the end of October so that going into November, my entire Black Friday promo is going to be done. And I can't tell you how amazing it is. Like, I've spent parts of this year working simultaneously on my one-on-one offer, working simultaneously on a talk, on a speech, which that I still want to do more of. And I'll give you an update on that in a second. But doing fewer things is so freaking refreshing. It's so nice to be able to focus on the things that will actually move the needle. Like, this is what I'm focused on. And until this funnel launches, nothing else is a priority in my business. So I have very few daily action things that I do, and I can tell you what they are. One of them is making sure the podcast is recorded, and it's my podcast producer Nico is so amazing at keeping the show running and making sure our episodes are all lined up and ready to go and produced and edited. So thank you, Nico, who's listening to this. And then the other things I do are my daily groups. So every day I'm committed to spending 30 minutes inside of the different memberships that I'm in, commenting, posting, showing up. So, and then the last thing. So this this last thing, I feel like I have not done a good job of, but it's coming, and it's being added to my habits that I'm stacking, which is producing more content, showing up more, being more present, right? And I'm calling it the content rush, which is going to be sprints of producing content. So I have a couple tools that I'm testing out. I can't wait to share with you once I've tested them out and can tell you that they're amazing or not. But I have a couple tools that are going to help me get more content out. With that said, aside from those tools that I won't mention just yet, I have 2 physical things that are helping me stick to my goal of being accountable for every working hour of my day. The first tool is this guy right here. So this is a timer that I bought on Amazon. And every time I have a time blocked sprint, I'm not only respecting that time block. So time blocking is just the first step. The second, also equally important step, is to actually respect the time block. So how many of you, if you're anything like me, you've put something on your calendar, you've time blocked it, but you don't actually respect it? And that is what I've learned, just as important as putting it on your calendar is actually sticking to it as if it were a meeting, right? You start at this time and you end at this time. Now, this is helping a lot because my time block gets timed. I can hit it and it will start counting for me. The second thing that I have used, the second tool that's really helped me, is my favorite book right now, which is The 1% Diary by Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO. And I cannot tell you how awesome it is to have this book in my life. I keep it open on the day, and it forces me to really be accountable for every single hour. So I've got my Apple Calendar, which you can laugh all you want. I love the iCal. where I'm time blocking and I know exactly what I need to be working on, but when I'm actually working on gets put into this. And it's awesome. First of all, because I've had my entire life, I've had this feeling that sometimes like time will go by and I'm like, what did I do? what what was that entire month? I don't know. Like, I know I worked on this, but what did I do with every day of my life? Right. And so this really feels like a diary in that I am documenting how I'm actually spending my day. And so each day ends with, what was I grateful for today? Or some sort of reflection, right? What could I make more time for in my day? What was my highlight today? So I don't actually answer these until the following day. And I look back before I start my workday. I look back and I look at what I did, and then I write some sort of, thought for that day. I kind of evaluate how the day went. So, for example, yesterday, this ties back to me wanting more speaking gigs. I'm finishing a speaker page, which has been on my to-do list forever. And I finally decided I'm getting introduced to folks with big stages that run events. I want to be applying to more stages, and I really want to finish this speaker page. And so I did not allot myself enough time, and I feel like it kind of extrapolated and I still haven't finished. So I don't feel good about that. I really wanted to have finished the speaker page yesterday. And there's a part of me, I was thinking about this in the shower last night. I really need to really accept the janky first version. I just need to accept the janky first version, and it's not going to be perfect from the get-go, but it will be done. And then I can always book time in the calendar in the future to revisit the page, to redesign it, to add some elements to it, to tweak it. But I need that first version to be good, not perfect. So that would be my evaluation of yesterday. That was one of the things that I did, but I didn't quite finish it. So anyway, I wanted to share these tools. I will leave a link to the 1% diary in my show notes, as well as this timer. And wanted to share, yeah. And if you want the PDFs, just reach out to me. I'm happy to share them. I have really experienced a massive transformation. I feel like this is what embodying the CEO of my business looks like. This is what it feels like to be in charge of my time, to be incredibly intentional about my time. And listen, it doesn't mean like I'm working like a dog. In fact, yesterday I went to the beach. I got some swim time. It's still nice out today. It's raining, so I'm glad I got that in. It doesn't mean that I'm working 24/7. It just means that every minute of my day is accounted for. Every work minute is intentional. It's going somewhere. It's being placed in a direction. And so I need to work on honing the boundaries of that time. But it just feels so good to be organized and to be intentional, and to know that what I'm building right now is going to really be the foundational cash flow of my business that I can keep tweaking, keep optimizing, keep growing. In fact, once these funnels are launched, so once I have the Evergreen funnel launched, hopefully next week, that's the goal, and then Black Friday prepped and ready to go, the thing that I'm going to come back to is not only apply for more stages, but also keep optimizing my program. So I have so many great ideas that are already getting implemented into the brand video system. And I'm just going to keep making that better and better and better and better, and really just pour into my students, pour into every single one of them, and meet them where they're at. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Empire Diaries within Empire Secrets. And I will see you on the next one. Write to me if you want these PDFs. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. I'd love to hear from you. I'm at Brand Magnetic on Instagram, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Mariana Henninger. See you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.